Good morning. Today we're going to do a fly that I came up with that I call the Marsh Bunny. And this is a fly that's like you took the Hopedale crab and the Gila monster fly that we invented a couple years ago, and they had children. This is going to be their child because it has similar properties of both, and we call it the Marsh Bunny. Mainly because one of the primary materials is rabbit fur. So the first thing is our hook is going to be a size 1/0 Gamakatsu B10S stinger, and we'll prepare our cradle for our dumbbell eyes as usual by preparing or building a pair of small thread humps. We're going to do this in a black and purple combination. We're using size large dumbbell eyes. A couple of wraps across each way to hold it in place. A few more wraps in each direction of the dumbbell eyes. Then we're going to check to see if they are lined up perpendicular to the hook shank. Then finish our cross wraps, maintaining the position of the eyes so they're exactly perpendicular to the hook shank. Number of cross wraps in both directions. Now we'll go under the eyes and over the hook, under the eyes and over the hook, back and forth. And what this does is it pulls the sides of those cross wraps in and securely adheres the dumbbell eyes to the hook so it won't rotate. As usual, we'll take some Zap-A-Gap or super glue. That will provide some insurance that those dumbbell eyes will stay put. Now advance the thread back to the bend of the hook. And anytime we use rabbit fur, rabbit zonker for the tail, we need to provide a way to keep that tail from fouling, because rabbit zonker has a habit of wrapping around itself or wrapping around the base of the hook. So to take care of that, we're going to put a loop of, in this case, some 40-pound fluorocarbon, and we'll tie that in on one side of the hook. And measure to see what our length of our loop's going to be or needs to be. That's about right, and then we'll cut that excess off. And tie in the other side of our loop. Our tail is going to be strip of Magnum rabbit zonker. That's important because the Magnum is wide. We want a lot of fur at the back of this fly for the tail. And so we're going to measure this out so it's about twice the length of the hook. That's about right. And cut that off at an angle so it comes down to kind of a point in the back. And we're also going to want to cut an angle in the front, mainly to just assist with the tie down. Now remember this, with the dumbbell eyes, this hook is going to ride, the fly is going to ride upside down. So we want, when the fly's in the water, we want that rabbit fur to be up. So we're going to tie it with the rabbit fur fibers down against the hook, just like that. Recognizing that this fly is going to ride upside down. I love using rabbit zonker because, man, it really provides a lot of wiggle in the water. Okay, we've got our tail tied in. Now we want a little bit of flash. So keeping with our color scheme, I'm going to use some purple crystal flash and grab 5 or 6 strands of that stuff. Snip it off. Now we can split those strands on each side of the hook, even up each side, and tie that bundle in on one side of the hook. And then take half the strands to the other side and tie them down so they lay along the side of the hook or the side of the bunny tail. I'm excited about this Marsh Bunny fly pattern. I think it's going to be really cool. Pick the fish will up. Okay, we'll snip the flash off about 3/4 the length of the tail. Now our next material is going to be some hollow polar chenille in a purple and green color, and this stuff is so much fun to use and so much fun in the water. It really has lots of flash, long fibers, lots of flash in this material. So we're going to tie that in right back at the base of the tail. These fibers are kind of unruly, they kind of go everywhere, so we'll kind of stroke those back with each revolution around the hook shank. Okay, that's probably enough. We had about 4 or 5 wraps of the hollow polar chenille. We've got that stuff just sticking out everywhere. We're going to stroke it all back with your fingers and tie that down and wrap up over it to encourage it to go rearward. There we go. See, that helped a lot. Okay, now it's time for some legs, and we're going to use some Sexy Floss by the Montana Fly Company for legs. I've got a color pink here because I don't have any purple, but this pink looks kind of purplish anyway, so it's going to work just fine. It's a barred leg. You could use rubber legs, whatever suits your fancy. Wrap those legs around the thread and even them out. And tie down that bundle on one side of the hook. Take two of those legs over to the far side of the hook and lash them down with the tying thread back to the where we stopped our tie-in for the polar chenille. Okay, now we can trim these legs all at the same time by holding them up, and we want those to be a little shorter than the flash out here. There we go. Now we'll clean this up because we've got kind of a knot of the legs that I tied in. The next material is more rabbit fur, but this time this is a cross-cut rabbit strip, and it's about 1/8 of an inch wide. Cross-cut's important for this application because we're going to palmer this around the hook, and it works much better than bunny strips that are cut the other way, any other way. So because we can force these cross-cut strip fibers to go rearward. So if you'll notice, the fibers on this strip tend to point to one side of the strip. So we want to keep that in mind when we tie this strip in, so that these fibers point rearward. So we'll tie this in right up where we stopped the tie-in for the legs, and come forward to maybe a hook eye length back from the dumbbell eyes. Then we can wrap the cross-cut bunny strip forward, touching wraps, and tie it off. This makes a real nice collar that has a lot of movement in the water. Now we cut off the rabbit fur, stroke our fibers back, and finish our tie down and clean that up a little bit. Believe it or not, we're about done. This is just a really simple fly to tie. And the last material is a brush, a 1/2 inch foxy brush. In this case, we're using it in a purple. And we'll tie that in right where we stopped the cross-cut bunny strip. Bring your thread forward to in front of the eyes just a little bit. Then wrap the brush, the EP fibers forward. Make sure you get a good tight wrap up behind the eyes. And then take a wrap crossing the eyes over the top of them. And then a couple of wraps in front. This will form a nice head. Again, this is a very easy fly to tie, not too many materials, no fancy techniques, should be very effective. Okay, clip that off with our snips and push that wire back so we don't cut our thread with it, and stroke our fibers rearward as best as possible. You'll miss a few strands of that stuff, but that's okay. The fish will never know the difference. Okay, now quick whip finish. And trim out some of those fibers that stuck forward on us. And we'll use a little bit of Sally Hansen's for a head cement. And take your bodkin, because we trapped some fibers with our brush as we wrapped our brush, so free up any trapped fibers. That makes our head look really bushy, but we'll take care of that in a minute. Okay, our last step is to take a brush. In this case, I'm just using an old toothbrush and brush those fibers all rearward. And there you have it, the completed Marsh Bunny. And I think those redfish are going to love it. Have fun tying it.